All right, ready for a deep dive into a place you might not expect. It's supermarket English today.
Ooh, this is gonna be fun. I bet we find all sorts of interesting stuff.
You'd be surprised. For our listeners out there, this deep dive is perfect for anyone who wants to use English in everyday life.
Yeah, even just a normal trip to the supermarket, you can
Sure.
find a ton of useful phrases and vocabulary.
So imagine walking into a big supermarket, right? All those aisles and colorful products. What's the first thing you decide?
Cart or basket.
It is. It's such a simple choice, but
But it shows a lot about how people shop, even their culture.
right, like some cultures, it's got to be the giant shopping cart every time.
Others, little basket is all they need.
I know, it's funny how that works. And even the words, shopping cart, it's all about what it does.
And basket, that word goes way back, like
Yeah.
ancient history.
Okay, let's go big today. We got our carts. And where do we end up first?
Probably the produce section, right?
It's so colorful.
Yeah.
All those apples, bananas, carrots.
But there's one word you see everywhere now. Organic. Oh, yeah. Organic. It's not just a word anymore, is it?
That's like a symbol. People really care about it now. I remember when organic was just for, like, health food people.
Exactly. But now it's about sustainability, being healthy, maybe even showing off a little.
Yeah, maybe. But you're right. It's on all the packaging, the ads. Prices are even higher for organic stuff.
It really shows how language changes as our culture changes and what people want.
It's wild how much one word can do. Changes how we see food, how much we pay, even if it's good for the planet.
Absolutely. Okay, we've got our organic veggies. Now where do we head? Probably towards the dairy section, right?
Milk, yogurt, cheese,
I love the dairy section. But even here, things are changing. You see all the plant-based milk now.
almonds, soy, oat milk. Yeah, they used to be like a weird thing you'd see in a health food store. Now it's everywhere.
And the language has changed too. Plant-based milk. That phrase is everywhere. It's interesting how it tries to...
Appeal to people who care about being healthy.
Exactly. And it avoids any legal trouble from, the dairy industry.
Oh, right. Because there's that whole debate, can you even call it milk?
Exactly. It's like a battle over words. Who gets to decide what milk means and how that changes what people think?
Okay, enough of the serious stuff. Let's go somewhere fun. The bakery.
Oh, the smells in there. Bread, pastries.
So good. But think about the words they use. Like, you could just say loaf of bread, but they say,
Artisan sourdough with a golden crust and a tangy aroma.
stop, I'm getting hungry. It's like the language itself wants to make you buy it.
That's exactly it. Supermarkets don't just use words to give you information. They use them to make you feel something.
Like, you need to buy that artisan loaf right now.
Exactly. Okay, let's move on to the meat and seafood. Here, the language is much more straightforward.
It's more about being clear. Boneless chicken breast, wild-caught salmon.
Grass-fed beef, it's all about telling you exactly what you're getting. And this is where you see people actually talking to each other more.
Asking for help. Excuse me, where's the ground beef? Or, do you have fresh oysters today?
And for language learners, those little conversations are so important. You get to practice, try out new words.
And it's fun to chat with the people who work there. You can learn about what's good, maybe find something new to try.
It's like the supermarket has all these hidden language and cultural treasures just waiting to be discovered.
Now, our last stop for today is the frozen food aisle. You know, for busy days or when you just don't feel like cooking.
Ah, yes, the frozen food aisle. Such a symbol of modern life, always rushing, wanting things fast. But it's interesting how the language they use for frozen food...
Tries to make it sound better.
Exactly. Like, frozen food gets a bad rap, processed, not fresh. But now you see words like flash frozen and farm to freezer.
It's all about making it sound quicker, higher quality. And then there's steamable vegetables, ready-to-bake meals.
It's like they want to change how we think about frozen food, not processed, but preserved,
It all comes back to language, doesn't it? Changing people's minds, making them want to buy things.
Absolutely. All right, we've explored a lot of this supermarket already, and I'm ready for a break.
Me too. We'll be right back with part 2 of our deep dive into supermarket English. Don't go away.
Welcome back to our supermarket English deep dive. Ready for round 2?
Oh, yeah. We left off at the checkout talking about those loyalty cards. Do you have a loyalty card? It sounds so simple.
It does, but it says a lot about how we shop now, doesn't it?
Totally. It's like this whole strategy to get people to keep coming back to the same store.
Right. Loyalty cards, they're all about making you feel like you're special, part of the club.
and giving you discounts, rewards, all that. I mean, I admit it, I like getting those deals.
It works, right? Makes you feel like you're winning somehow. But really, the supermarket wins too.
Oh, you're right. They figure out what you buy, how often you shop.
Mm.
It's pretty smart.
It is. But hey, let's step back for a minute. Think about the whole supermarket, not just the words.
Like the layout, how it's designed.
Yeah. It's not random, is it? It's all planned out very carefully.
They want you to buy more, of course. But how do they do it?
Think about where they put the things everyone needs. Milk, bread.
They're usually way in the back of the store.
Exactly. You have to walk past all those tempting things to get there. Cookies, chips.
It's like an obstacle course.
Yeah.
And then there are those displays at the end of each aisle.
End caps. Oh, those are prime real estate. They use those to grab your attention. New products, sale items, bright colors.
Hard to resist. And then there's the language they use on the signs and ads.
Yeah, the language of persuasion. Like
Right.
making you feel like you'll miss out if you don't buy it now.
Limited time offer, while supplies last. I fall for that every time,
We all do. And then they'll use words like fresh, natural, artisan.
making it sound fancy, healthy, like it was made by hand or something.
Right. Tapping into those desires we all have for simpler times. Wholesome food.
It's amazing how much thought goes into every little sign in a supermarket.
It is. But let's move on to something else. The people in the supermarket.
Oh yeah, it's not just about shopping. You see all sorts of interactions happening.
It's a social space, too. You see people bumping into each other, chatting in line.
I once had this great conversation with someone about apples. We were both trying to find the best ones for apple pie.
I love those moments. You never know what's going to happen at the supermarket.
And for people learning English, it's great practice. You might need to ask for help, read a label, or even just figure out how to...
Apologize for bumping someone's cart. Yeah, there are definitely some unspoken rules in the supermarket.
Oh, totally. Like, don't block the whole aisle with your cart. Don't cut in line.
And all those little things, like how close you stand to people when you make eye contact.
It's almost like a dance, figuring it all out.
It is. And it's different in every culture. Like in some places, it's totally normal to start talking to strangers.
In other places, it's considered weird. So the supermarket really shows how different cultures can be.
Right. And those cultural differences show up in the language, too. How people greet each other, how products are described.
Speaking of products, let's talk about branding and packaging. That's a whole language in itself.
It is. The supermarket is like a battle for your attention. All those colors, logos, pictures.
It's amazing how much work goes into designing a package that'll make you stop and look.
Think about the colors, the font, the images they choose, and then there's the words, the slogans, the descriptions.
All those promises. Healthier, tastier, happier.
It's all about persuasion, making you believe that you need this product.
Sometimes it feels almost like poetry, how they write about food on a package.
It's true. But let's zoom out even more. The supermarket isn't just about individual products. It shows something bigger about us.
Like about our society.
Exactly. Think about how much stuff there is in a supermarket. All those choices, different kinds of food from all over the world.
It can be overwhelming. But it also shows how connected we are now, how many different cultures we have access to.
Right. And it shows how our relationship with food is changing. We're more aware of different cuisines, different diets.
But we're also getting all these messages about food. What's healthy? What's good for you?
From ads, packaging, even just the words they use to describe things, like all the focus on low-fat, sugar-free, superfoods.
Like everyone's obsessed with being healthy.
It is a big part of our culture now, and it makes you wonder, how much does the supermarket influence what we eat?
That's a good point. It's not just about buying groceries. It's about how we think about food, what we consider normal.
Exactly. But we have a choice, right? We can think for ourselves, decide what we believe, and support the brands that match our values.
That's true. It's empowering to think about it that way.
It is. So the supermarket, it's not just a place to shop. It's a place where language, culture, business, and all our personal values come together.
Wow, I never thought I'd have such a deep conversation about the supermarket.
Mm.
It really is amazing how much we can learn just by paying attention to the language.
I agree. And we've only just scratched the surface.
Back for more supermarket English. Are you ready to check out, so to speak?
I am. We've gone through the aisles, figured out the marketing tricks. It's been a fun deep dive.
Totally. I never thought I'd learn so much about, like, the language of the supermarket.
It's amazing what you can find if you really pay attention, right?
Yeah. And it makes you think about those everyday places in a whole new way.
Exactly. And there's one spot we haven't talked about yet. The checkout line.
Oh, yeah. That's where everything comes together, right?
It is. It's like a little stage where you see all these different people, all their different behaviors.
It's true. You can learn a lot about people just by watching them in the checkout line. All those little interactions.
Like how people wait in line, how close they stand to each other, if they get impatient.
And sometimes you see really nice things, too, like someone letting another person go ahead of them.
Oh, yeah. Or a parent teaching their kid to be patient. A cashier who's super friendly, even though they've been working all day.
It's nice to see those moments. Makes you feel good.
It does. And it shows that language isn't just about the words we say, right? It's also about how we act, those little signals we send.
Totally. And for people learning English, the checkout line is a good place to watch and learn.
You can see how people act, what's polite, what's not. And for language learners, that's super valuable.
It is. Now, one more thing I wanted to mention. Food labels. They can be tricky.
Oh, food labels. They're full of information, but sometimes it feels like a secret code. All those ingredients, measurements.
And then there are all the claims they make. Low fat, organic, all natural. It can be hard to know what it all means.
It can, but it's important to figure it out, especially if you have allergies or you're trying to eat healthy.
Yeah. Learning how to read food labels is like having a superpower.
Mm.
You can make better choices for yourself and your family.
Exactly. It gives you control over what you're eating, and it's not just useful at the supermarket either.
Right? It helps you at restaurants, when you're cooking.
Yeah?
You're just more aware of what's in your food.
Absolutely. So I guess that's our big takeaway from this deep dive, right? Language is everywhere, even in the supermarket.
It is. And it's not just about talking. It's about marketing, culture, psychology, all these things we've been talking about.
Right. And for our listeners who are learning English, don't be afraid to practice in the supermarket. It's a great place to try out new phrases, see how language works in real life.
And maybe even strike up a conversation with someone in the produce aisle.
Exactly. You never know what you might learn.
Thanks for joining us on this supermarket English adventure. We hope you learned something new, had some fun, and maybe even got inspired to.
Pay a little more attention to the language around you.
Exactly. We'll catch you on our next deep dive. Until then, happy shopping, everyone.